there, welcome to another Photoshop tutorial from tutcast.com. This is another redo tutorial showing you how to create simple, non-destructive reflections in Photoshop. Now what do I mean by non-destructive? Well, we're going to be using layer masks, so later on down the line, if you decide you want to change the reflection or fix its gradient a little bit, we can very easily do so without having to lose the reflection, delete it, and then start again. So here we go. We can do this with text or images if we want. In the image in front of us, we have a text layer that says reflections, and we're going to create a reflection of the word reflection. The first thing we need to do, we need to duplicate this layer. And to do that, with that layer selected, we're going to hold down Alt or Option as well as Shift, and then drag downwards. That will make a duplicate on the exact line that the original layer is on. Now we need to flip it upside down. So we're going to go to the top and click on Edit, Transform, and then Flip Vertical. That will flip it upside down. Now we're going to very simply position it exactly underneath. We can use our arrow key to move it up. And it's now in position. We now need to create the layer mask and the reflection. So in our layers palette, we're going to click on the layer mask icon, which will create a layer mask right over there. Now layer masks use blacks and whites to define what is seen and what is not seen. Anything white will remain seen, anything black will become transparent. So we need to make sure we're working with white as our foreground color and black as our background color. We're going to be using the gradient tool, which is right over here. You may see your paint bucket tool. If you do, hold your mouse button down and select the gradient tool. Now at the top, you have to make sure that the first option is checked, foreground to background. Make sure it's set to linear, mode is set to normal, opacity is set to 100%. Now holding down your Shift key, you're going to drag from the top of the bottom layer all the way to the bottom. Now if you are working with a layer that sticks out a little bit like the R, you may want to go a little bit higher where the rest of the letters go, like the E all the way to the S. So we're going to hold down our Shift key and drag from the top of the E to the bottom of the E. And you'll notice it makes a really nice gradient to 100% opacity all the way to 0. And you may want to decrease the whole layer's opacity by going to the layers palette and then decreasing that to approximately 30%. And there you go. There's your simple reflection using layer mask. So later on down the line, you can very simply delete the layer mask or edit the gradient in any way you like. But like I mentioned before, it doesn't only work with text. I'm going to head over to this MacBook Pro icon that I'm working on. I may do a tutorial on this in the future, but let's say I want to create a reflection of the MacBook Pro at the bottom. I'm going to select the bottom two layers. I'm going to duplicate them just like I did before, and I'm going to merge them together. I'm going to hold down Command or Control and press the letter E. Once again, I'm going to flip them upside down, Edit, Transform, Vertical, position it accordingly, add a layer mask like I did before, grab my gradient tool, make sure all the options are set at the top, start at the top, go to the bottom, and then decrease my opacity. Very, very simple way of creating reflections non-destructively in Photoshop. So give that a shot. Make sure to use layer masks. They will help you in the future down the line in your projects. So I hope you learned something from this tutorial. Until next time, this is Howard from tutcast.com. Take care. This episode of Tutcast is brought to you by LearnPhotoshopNow.com. In just 2 hours, you'll be able to produce your own graphics quickly, easily, and completely stress-free.